But the great physician, humanitarian Albert Schweitzer recorded the African tribes had no cancer. He looked for 40,000 people were evaluated. He couldn't find any cancer. So what are these guys doing? They were pretty much following a lot of physical exercise, very low carbohydrate foods that they were eating, um, and they had a very different uh, diets and lifestyles. So during the Paleolithic period of our past, where did we didn't farm. We were hunter gatherers. Hunter. What does that mean? Hunter. You're killing stuff and eating it. You're gathering nuts and berries whenever you could seasonally. Every we now know from research, most of those folks were always in a state of ketosis, what we call nutritional ketosis, where blood sugars are low and ketones are elevated because there's no carbohydrates, very few carbohydrates in our diets. You don't get much carbohydrate eating organic meat, internal organs. You don't get much carbohydrates eating natural. You could get a little bit from berries, but they'd be seasonal. So you don't
Tubers.
really. Yeah, I mean, but you're not farming them. So the Neolithic period is when civilization started, basically when we started farming and growing food in a location where people would gather around the food. But even then, there was a lot of exercise and the kinds of foods that wheats and corns and rice and this kind of stuff. They were not high glycemic varieties of these foods. We have now made super sweet rice, corn, wheats, and now we've even processed them into called highly processed carbohydrates with zero nutritional benefit, all high carbohydrate. And this with a diet lifestyle that we have today is absolutely the cause of almost all of our chronic diseases. What are they? Type 2 diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, cancer, dementia. These are all related to diet and lifestyle. Yeah, there's a few guys that might have a genetic predisposition to one of these things or another, but the majority of the folks, it's ourselves. And, people blame our genes. It's not, our genes are doing exactly what they evolved to do: store energy. We evolved as a species that was hungry all the time. We were always tracking down food to get to find out we needed to store energy. It's hard to store energy when you're eating only meats and certain vegetables that have very very few highly processed carbs. So now you take that same metabolism and you throw it into a new environment where you have massive amounts of highly processed carbohydrates, minimal amounts of exercise and energy, and you get fat. All right. Because we evolved to store energy, and the genes that allowed us to survive on the planet as a species are now counterproductive to our health because we're in a totally new environment, killing us and causing an enormous amount of our financial resources to be thrown into managing chronic diseases, most of which are caused by a diet and minimal exercise and consumption of highly processed foods, and it's convenient. Okay, how many people are sitting in traffic jams in every major city in this country? Rush hour, you're sitting in traffic jams. You're sucking down on a high carbohydrate coffee, a muffin. You're driving the car. You get into work. You sit in front of a computer. You run home. The kids are crying. You got to put something in the microwave real quick that's highly processed. You give it to the kids. You get childhood obesity. You get chronic diseases, and you start creating all these problems that were very new to our society. And now you're going to come out with billions of dollars trying to figure out how I'm going to stop obesity, how I'm going to stop type 2 diabetes, how I'm going to stop cancer. What am I doing about dementia? And we're not taking charge of what we know we should be doing. So we have institutions will come in and say, oh, take that pill, take this pill. We're going to treat you with this and treat you with that. But the real cause of it all, you're going to go back to prevention. Okay. And it's hard. I'm not saying this is easy. I mean, the way we're running our society today, everybody's on the go all the time. Everybody's just locked into a computer with headsets, walking around with headsets on. I mean, we're just deviated so far in a short period of time, a few hundred years into this new environment, and it's accelerating. massively accelerating with the technology that we have, making our lives easier and easier, putting us at more and more risk for chronic diseases. And then you end up with cancer, and then you're trying to figure, oh, what's this cancer? The dementia, man. That's another epidemic. Obesity is an epidemic. Dementia is an epidemic. Cancer is an epidemic, and it's all coming from rapid changes in our diet and lifestyle over the last several decades.